Hello, everyone. A little update here on Bitcoin and cryptos as where we stand. It's been really boring the last couple weeks. It's been really chopping sideways a bit. Bitcoin's been as high as 102 and change and as low as 91,000 and change. And there's kind of right now there's a pretty solid floor at 91. However, it looks like we could be in for a more sizable correction here, and it looks fairly likely. And let's look at the Bitcoin chart to really get a look at that here. All right. So if you look at the daily chart with Bitcoin, we've had a sharp down once, twice, and now we have hit our third trend line sharp downward. It's called a straight line drive. And it's a technical analysis term with a straight line drive, whether you have three straight lines up headed bullishly or three straight lines down. Generally, you're going to be trending in the right now with this three straight down, you're going to be trending to the downside here. Now, likely it'll trade move up for a day or two, potentially even three, up to 94, 95, somewhere in that range, 93 to 95 range. And then we could have a very sharp downward trend. The sharp downward trend is what we're looking at, is somewhere in the $80,000 to $86,000 range for Bitcoin, which is pretty low, right? But that gives it a really sizable correction. And yeah, the altcoins will come down with it too, but not nearly as much. The altcoins have already had their major correction. A lot of them had 40 to 70% corrections in the market. So a lot of those have already overcorrected. They'll correct a little bit more, but my feeling is what we're going to end up having, and this has happened in Bitcoin in the past through previous cycles, it'll hit that downward trend, 80 to 86. It'll be quick, and then it'll start right back up. And then we can get up to that 118 to 125 or 120 to 125 target, probably sometime here in late January, February timeframe. I think the bullishness, I think it'll be coming back as we get really close to inauguration, because there's going to be all kinds of rumors as to what Trump is going to institute as far as crypto-friendly stuff. There's been a bunch of rumors out there, and it's going to continue. So if you're ready for that, those things will drive the market up. Remember the narrative that I've been driving to you guys about the U.S. crypto coins being almost artificially driven up more because there could be no capital gains taxes on those. And that's something they're really going to push for. And that would be huge, obviously. And that would bring a lot more companies from overseas here to the US so they can get that same kind of bump that the US cryptos will get. Now, not all of them are going to do it, but you'll have enough of them do it where I think that's just going to give you a good solid bump in it here. All right, now let's look at the technical analysis here. So Bitcoin, again, this kind of further reiterates what I've been talking about. Bitcoin's technical analysis, the bearish signals point to a potential collapse below 96. We've already been below 96, right? We're down there at 93 right now. And that 80 to 86 is kind of the floor. 80 is kind of a pretty good hard floor, 77 even harder. But if it goes down to the 70s, I mean, we could be in for an even more sizable correction here, but just don't think it's going to get that far down. There's too much bullishness out there. If there was more negativity, I could see that potentially happening, but there's just too much bullishness right now. We do have the dollar strengthening too, the dollar index, which is the dollar against other currencies out there. So it's strengthening. We do have an issue which will affect real estate here with interest rates being driven up potentially here, which will hurt the real estate market until the Fed starts doing easing. Now, they've been bullish. The Fed has been very bullish on what they've said, saying they're going to do less rate drops than they had previously planned, but they can't do that. And here's why they can't do that. The U.S. Budget Office has projected we're 1.9 trillion in a deficit in 2025. Well, guess what? We have in 2025, we have 3 trillion coming up for a rate reset, which means if that 3 trillion rates reset and you go to higher interest rates, we default. We can't pay that debt. We don't have enough. We'd have to print more money. So the Federal Reserve will continue. They will start money printing. They will start quantitative easing, which is going to put all risk assets flying upward. Like I've been telling a lot of you people, that we're going to have the melt up, a great melt up. And that's fully what I expect. But temporarily, we're going to have a little bit of pain here with Bitcoin and cryptos before a really strong, probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4 month period of very bullish activity with, of course, corrections, but shorter term corrections here. So we have some of these cryptos are showing short term weakness, but midterm and long term strength. And that's what you got to look at. Whereas what is it looking like longer term? I think the fear and greed index is around 49, which is pretty neutral. It probably might even drop a little bit lower. But if we do get another push down to the 80, 86, we'll be in the more fear side, which will then push more money in there. And ETFs are doing extremely well, which is helping the markets overall here. The Bitcoin market, that is. And there's been some FUD too. So let's talk about some of the FUD. This is one of them here. It has the U.S. added 256,000 jobs in December, blowing past the 160K estimate, which is positive news. But of course, it sends negatively because they figure the Fed won't reduce rates and the Fed will be more hawkish or bullish and less hawkish here. But really, this is kind of ridiculous for them to ever put a number so low in December when all these companies hire seasonally for people for the holidays. This should have been 250 at least minimum. I remember in years past looking at this, it was never a 160K number. It's always way higher than that because you get so many seasonal numbers. So this will be corrected, revised, probably likely downward in next month or so. And then January will probably look very poor. And then the Fed will start talking more bearishly, and then they'll have to start doing the quantitative easing and rate reduction. I think that's one of the directions we're headed here. Here we go. Let's look at this. The Bitcoin ETFs, which have done extremely well, and there's been a lot of money flowing into them recently too, which has helped stabilize the price. One more thing on the negative side, the U.S. courts approved that the Treasury can start selling Bitcoin. The U.S. Treasury can start selling Bitcoin, which people have a lot of fear. Well, if we start selling Bitcoin like they did in Germany last October, September-October timeframe, that it'll hurt the Bitcoin market. Unlikely that they're going to do that, but they could do that, right? But there's still so much money going into the ETFs right now that is pushing Bitcoin in a positive direction, despite some of the negative stuff that we're seeing here in the news and people getting a little bit bearish. But no, things are looking really solid from that direction. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and not a lot of you guys know this, but Ethereum typically does do well post-halving years, January, February, March timeframe, really more February. Right now, it's still looking negative in the short term. The short term and the midterm indicators are looking negative. However, the long term is looking good. So with that being said, we may not see Ethereum really take a jump up in January or February. Maybe it starts in March and April. So let's talk about this bullish case here where we're the midterm, where things look good. What time frame does that look like? You're probably talking right around the inauguration time, which is a week and a half or so from now, about a week and a half. And that will push the market up. A lot of it will just be rumors and speculation. And then I think we're going to go into a straight line up temporarily short term, and then a good increase in the altcoins. I think you'll really start to see altcoin season come into play at that point. And we're going to get pushed up February, March, and potentially into April and May even. It could go that long. So you're looking at least a 2-month period, but likely a 3 to 4 month period of extreme bullishness. And it'll be, a lot of it will be Trump talking about how he's going to backstop the U.S. treasuries with Bitcoin. And even if the U.S. decided to sell, I'm sure he would reverse and change course and start buying Bitcoin back. So that would push things up again, maybe artificially, you could say, because it's the U.S. government doing it, to the upside. But then I think you're going to see a lot of other countries start to do the same. You're already starting to see more companies hold Bitcoin and just to protect against inflation, because they see inflation coming back. We're probably going to start, we already have inflation now, but we're probably going to start to see it really start taking effect. It's a lagging indicator, probably more into the second half of 2025, but really more into 2026 is when we'll start seeing the full effects of inflation, which is why you got to be in some of these assets here to offset it. Let's talk about the time frame for the bull market and when it could end. So typically with these markets, you get these big waves up, these big pushes up, and then you need to sell. When you get these big altcoin, like ridiculously move ups, you got to start selling, because what's going to happen is ultimately something's going to happen. There's going to be some black swan event or some news come out. Bitcoin will crash. The altcoins will really crash hard. And then we might go 2-3 months of just trading sideways, dropping down before another pump up. And everybody thinks that all the altcoins will pump up again, but that doesn't happen. What happens is these things go in cycles and narratives, right? So you're going to have AI really pump, and NVIDIA's doing well again. So all these AI tokens like Render, like Near, like Theta, and there's a bunch of other ones out there too. We'll go through a list of AIs in another video, AI crypto to be into, because those are big plays and I'm really pushing hard into them. And I'm going to give you guys a lot of info on those, which ones I'm in and why I like them or why I don't like certain ones. But most of them to get the ones I like. So that's going to go up. And then maybe gaming will go up later, crypto gaming. And maybe you'll have layer ones start to go up at a different time. And then layer twos go up at another time. Oracles go up at another time, like Chainlink. So everything moves at different times. And just because one moves up into one cycle where you have a really hard push up and then it crashes does not mean it's going to move back up again. It may stay low or it may continue going downward, depending on what's going on with that project. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these cryptos. They don't all move up together. They don't all move down together. They take turns. And when yours goes up, like XRP burst that we've had here, a lot of people are taking profits. I have a little higher price points on it where I'm looking to start taking profits on this cycle based off last two cycles really. So I didn't take profits on it yet, but I will take it probably in March, April. And I look to potentially be out of most of my altcoins by May of this year at the latest, probably. It could bleed into June. We'll see, but I'm going to be out a lot of those altcoins, the ones that move. The ones that didn't move, I may hold them ultimately a little bit longer. Maybe sell a portion if they had a nice little move up, take some money, put it aside, wait for that next crash down, because that's what this market does. Cryptos crash, and they'll correct 50 to 70%, like you've seen with some of these altcoins, even off the November election. So keep that in mind. The markets move differently than the stock market moves. It's not like that right now. They do not move in unison necessarily. Although usually if the stock market crashes, the crypto market crashes. Just know you're going to have to be able to be nimble and be in and out of these and have sell orders preset. It's super important to have your sell orders preset at price points you want. If you're good with just double, 2xing, 3xing your money, start taking those profits out. Maybe pull your initial amount off the table and just play with house money. That's my recommendation. All right, guys, hopefully you got something out of this video. If you did, make sure you click the like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.